All right, so we're gonna take a quick beat, and one of the things that I wanted to share with you was a fun fact. So recently, Holistiplan did a survey to just under 300 advisors, and 99% of advisors have increased their client satisfaction after adding tax planning services. So if you are thinking about starting to offer tax planning, if you're in the very beginning of your journey, I just want you to know that you've come to the right place. And so Holistiplan is the #1 place that's going to help you with tax planning. We have a promo code with a 10% discount right now. We don't often do promo codes, so this is pretty rare for us. So throughout the end of the month of February, we're offering a 10% discount on your first year of a premium subscription. So the best place to get started is really to scan that QR code. From there, you can start a free 7-day trial. And I just wanted to talk through some of the different support that we offer. So we already talked about how we offer consistent webinars weekly, sometimes twice a week for our future customers. But for our existing customers, we offer Tax Planning 101, 201, and 301. So 3 different tiers in addition to ongoing support for advisors as they continue on their tax planning journey. I should also mention that our support team and our customer success team is unmatched. They are some of the best in the world. I can tell you that because I work with them every day. All right, so to lighten it up a little bit, I thought it would be fun if we got some audience participation. If you could just share, what is one emoji that you would use to describe tax season? And if you don't have access to emojis, you could just type it into the chat or type it into the Q&A. Oh, okay. Let's see. We're getting the face with the glasses and the mustache, a crazy face, a head exploding face, party face, there's a poop emoji, hiding face, the money sign. All right, cartwheels, hiding. So it seems like a mixed bag of people feeling a little bit intense or intimidated, or like tax planning may or may not be their favorite thing. This is great. Okay. So you're in really good hands. The next session is really going to set you up for success. So with that, I would love to bring on Jennifer Fensley, who is the wealth advisor and personal wealth director at CapSouth. We also have Allison Doty. She is the associate advisor at CapSouth Wealth Management. These two wonderful women have previously done a webinar with Holistiplan, and it was outstanding. People got so much value out of it. So that's it. I'm pumped about this. So thank you both for being here, and I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you. Thanks for having us back. As Laura mentioned, I'm Jennifer Fensley with CapSouth, and so I'm just going to take a few minutes to tell you a little bit who we are. Allison's going to share her screen, navigate. We're going to tag team this. I've been on the other side of these webinars, so let me do a little bit of housekeeping. CapSouth is what I would call a mid-sized company, and so we've gone through several iterations. We are currently in the process of transitioning from founder-led and owned to what we would call Generation 2 led and owned. We are an independent RA. We want to maintain our independence, and so we're working on internal transfers. If I'm considered Generation 3 or 2, then Allison would be Generation 3. In my lifetime, I'd love to see a Generation 4 and a Generation 5. So I'm actually a career changer. So for those of you that may be newer to tax planning, I hope to give you hope. March 1st will be my 8th year, and I now oversee all of our client work. So we are a company that we have the private client side of our business that we call personal wealth. We also have an institutional side of our business. So I lead a direct group of clients. Allison is my associate advisor. She joined the firm almost 5 years ago with us. Fun fact, literally the week before COVID happened. So what a great time to join a company. She stuck with us, and we're really glad she did. And so, as Laura mentioned, we have been on our own journey with Holistiplan. What I want to share with you guys, if you have been like maybe kind of just starting this journey, there's going to be something in this for you. If you're further along in your journey, we hope to have something for you as well, because we've kind of done it all. And so I want to just offer a lot of encouragement, some key facts. And as Laura mentioned, it was August when we did that webinar. I believe it was called our Blueprint for Client Engagement. We offered a lot
Mhm.
of resources. The team's going to link to that. The Holistiplan team is fabulous. So as we go along, I'm going to answer questions when Allison takes over. She might jump in at the chat and
Yep.
answer some questions while I'm talking. I'm going to kind of talk more about our business aspect of it. And then Allison's going to take you through her journey, especially if you have younger advisors, training opportunities. I want you to hear from her about how she has found her way within our company, her specific journey. So, especially if you're a younger advisor on this, she's a great source of inspiration. And then she's going to take you through high level some case studies. We're not going to get into the depths of how to use the tools, but just really want you to see how you can um, really use Holistiplan at any stage of your journey. So we're just going to start with some of the basics. Like, why should you be doing tax planning? When we get into this, and Allison, are you going to drive for me? We be able
Yeah,
to?
I'll drive for you. Go ahead.
Perfect. So when we talk about why tax planning, it's really going to be a couple of key things here. And I'm still, can everybody see this? I'm still seeing the main
There
slide.
we
There we
go.
go. Perfect. Awesome. So, why should you be considering tax planning? I like to talk about the sea of sameness. If you are a potential client looking at your firm, or how are you going to stand out? Some of you have done an amazing job with a very specific niche. We're not there yet. We're definitely on our way to that. And so, one of the ways that we felt like we could do this is through tax planning. It could really be the missing piece for advisors, and you don't have to be a Jeff and have all of that knowledge. Holistiplan is going to make it really easy for you to a look very smart, make it scalable, and to create a very amazing client experience. So you will find I don't take myself too seriously, and so Allison and I will probably laugh along the way. Wish you could be joining in with us, but again, we feel like our journey and what we've been doing with Holistiplan, we can speak from someone who was new to the industry and started as a one woman show and then worked with a two-person team, really being like myself and Allison, now to leading multiple teams. It doesn't matter what size your firm is, whether you're solo or whether you're a very large firm, you can find something about this tool to make it amazing for you. Boosting client engagement. I think at this point, our clients are looking to us to be proactive. I really hate to be in the seat when a client's coming to me and calling out something that maybe I hadn't brought up with them. So for us, as you grow, particularly, and we are very growth focused, and we want to continue to do that. We believe that will create employee opportunities, opportunities to serve more clients. And so for us, we need things that are going to help us make it scalable. Um, I'll talk a little bit later about how we did it and how it wasn't scalable, and so how Holistiplan has really helped us on that journey. You're going to see me look over to the side because I'm going to try to track some of these questions and answer these along the way. So, using Holistiplan can really help you shift from being reactive to proactive before your clients are bringing things to your attention. And then it really, and I think you'll see this along our presentation, it's going to be able to offer you and your clients a lot of value without increasing a lot of the workload that you have to do. So when we talk about scalability, that's what we're looking for because let's be honest, our time is very valuable. And how we do that and how we serve more clients, we have to really pay attention to it. So when we're looking to add to a tech stack because this landscape in our advisory world is full of amazing technology. But how many of you have been in the seat where you have to literally spend hours trying to figure out how to use it and then figure out how you're going to show it with a client? To me, Holistiplan offers some of the most easiest, lowest barriers to entry, and the cost is incredibly reasonable and scalable. So let's just talk about our evolution and how we did this from a standpoint of where we were at and then kind of next steps. So before we started using Holistiplan, we were very inconsistent. I would say that a very manual aspect, and we can just go to the next slide if we have an
Mhm.
opportunity for that. So, we have an amazing person on our team. His name is Lewis Robinson. He had a very successful CPA practice. Later in life, he joined our company. I say he's amazing because he actually was my advisor because I was a client of the company before I joined. And so Lewis was the person. Back then, we were very siloed. We had teams that could do it however they wanted. They were doing things differently, different technology. And so Lewis is the person that brought Holistiplan to CapSouth. I think it speaks amazing volumes about him as a person and just how his curiosity. But before that, Lewis had amazing spreadsheets. He had tools that he could use as a CPA. Rest of us, no way that we could have been doing that. I would say that if we were looking at tax returns consistently across the company, that would have been considered a win. So that again, I've only been here 8 years, and Holistiplan, I believe, was started in 2019. Roger can correct me on that one. So it's not like this has been a really long journey of tax planning and how we've started to where we are today. So um, now we got curious with what Lewis was doing. And so we would start having company calls. We found something that was very small for us to be able to do, which was simply uploading the tax return into Holistiplan and creating what we would call the taxable observation report. Super easy to do, lots of webinars on it. And so we were like, hey, let's just start here. So that I believe was one of the first things that we did as a company. And then through that, I started looking for ways like, how could I learn? How could I make my client experience back when it was really just me and a couple of people? What could we be doing to set ourselves apart? How could we help our clients? How could we answer questions? And how could we grow and learn with them and continue to offer value? So, curiosity is one of the things, one of our core values at CapSouth that we love. And so, Holistiplan made that very easy to learn and to dive in. And we started very small. Again, we'll talk a little bit about this and how we did it later on, but we would just look for things that we could try. And we do it with a small group of clients. We would get pretty comfortable and then we would roll that out. So the middle became, all right, Allison and I developing things for clients, maybe sharing it with one or two advisors, but not this confidence across the company to adopt that. And really, that most recent part of our journey has been in the last 18 months to 24 months. So again, pretty short period of time in our advisory life cycle. And now what we've been doing at CapSouth is across all the teams and the client services group is creating this very structured, scalable experience, leveraging Holistiplan. We've taken what we've created as this CapSouth blueprint for engagement. I'll show you just our timeline of that at the very end. And again, there's a whole webinar that refers to that. And now it's become proactive, what we do at the beginning of the year. So we've been doing things for the last few months for clients, all the way through what happens when we get the tax returns, how do we review the tax returns, what information are we providing, utilizing the newest insurance tools. We do that kind of in our summertime. And then how do we keep touching these tax scenarios? So if you're not familiar with the tax scenarios, we'll talk a little bit about that in a case study. But you heard the baseline scenario referenced, and that's something you're going to hear Allison talk about several times. But whether it's creating that baseline at the beginning of the year and coming to revisit it, it's made what we used to do probably at the end of the year, like trying to chew up a bunch of planning. It's made it a very scalable, structured process for us as a team. And now we're rolling that out through the entire company. By the end of this year, we will have almost every client that is paying for those services because we do structure our client base in tiers, and so not everyone gets every service. We price and scale on complexity. But at the end of the year, everyone that is receiving our tax planning services will have a very consistent, planned, structured, and scalable process. So we've come a long way from those early days, and especially the early days of having to call Lewis and asking him to maybe help us with everything. Now we just leverage his expertise. So it's like having our own Jeff on the team, which is really fun and exciting. So want to transition a little bit to our implementation process. So, one of the things that you heard me say was starting small. Probably my favorite thing about this industry is how many people are willing to help. And so, if you haven't found those, count Allison and I as your people. Okay. So, some of the best advice we've ever gotten was words of wisdom that said, "What's safe to try?" And so that's what I would encourage you with today. So just choose one feature. And again, for some of you who are newer to Holistiplan, some of these terms, you may not know what they mean, but I promise you, you'll learn very quickly. So the milestone report, probably the easiest thing that you can start with here. If you have clients loaded into the system and you have some of their key demographic information, every year you can just run a milestone report. Very easy. It's going to tell you all the key things that you need to be paying attention to. And so I say something like a milestone report, which for those of you that are the power users and probably using it even more than we're using it, could seem really small, but especially as you start to grow and scale your practice, you may not have the luxury of having all of that information at your fingertips. So don't forget some of the things that maybe we take for granted every day. You've heard Laura talk about the training. My opinion, and it's no offense to any of our other tech partners who I also love dearly, but um, I think Holistiplan has some of the most comprehensive training I have ever seen. If you take someone like me who was a career changer, self starter, like really just trying to learn things on her own and then figure things out with the help of others internally, going to them and asking questions, but maybe not having someone to be able to sit down and teach her everything, being able to sign up for Holistiplan 101, 201, 301. There's all these new user trainings. And then probably the biggest thing, and Deborah Taylor knows that we're huge fans of hers, was the masterclass. I believe we sat in the very first masterclass, and what you will find with the training is they're not only going to teach you how to use the technology, but they're also, like we just heard Jeff talk about, going to help you think about things in a new and different way. They're going to teach you about what we should be thinking about. And they're also going to teach you ways to integrate this into your business. There's tremendous amount of materials, marketing materials. If I sound like a sales ad, I promise you we're not getting paid for this. It's just because we are holistic fans so much. We love to nerd out over this, and we just believe in it so much and what it's done for us that we want you to feel as confident in the tools as we do. So once you start to get your feet under you, it is very intimidating if you've got a whole host of clients to figure out how do you do this well for everyone. So again, my encouragement is segment your business, choose a few to test and learn on, right? So we have had those clients, like as Allison and I get used to new features, we have those clients that we know love new technology, are we can be very vulnerable with them and say, hey, we're learning this, could we show this to you, could we get your feedback? Clients love giving their feedback, at least that's our experience. And so being able to slowly build upon time, get really comfortable with one, choose a few clients, roll that out to the rest of your clients that you feel need to be doing it, then go on to the next thing. If you keep doing that, small steps are going to add up to very big wins. You're going to be incredibly proactive, and eventually you're going to get to where we are today, which is this very comprehensive tax planning calendar that are going to provide you touch points along the way without having to have major meetings, not a huge time suck, and you're going to just increase your value tremendously. Um, your business growth is a Holistiplan. If you are like us and you are trying to grow your business, it is really something that you need to know is that Holistiplan is not just a tool. It can be a very effective business growth strategy. It is an all of these four things, right? So for us, we very much value deep client relationships. I think that the push pull for those of you, and I think it's probably the majority of you on this webinar, want to have very deep relationships with your clients. But how in the world do you continue to have that value, that leverage, and offer things that are going to be scalable? You've got to be able to build trust. You've got to find ways to earn the trust and respect of new clients, especially if they're coming to you from the website, which we're very fortunate to have a lot of people who are not just referrals, but who have found us along the way. And then for those referrals, even though we've got a leg up with them because we have great client referrals who are opening the door for us, we still need to earn their trust and respect. And we know trust takes time to build. So by being able to look at their tax return and offering just immediate insight, you're building credibility, you're offering a value, and Holistiplan is going to make that very easy to do and very scalable. It's also, we just heard Roger and Jeff talking about the planning opportunities. This industry is never boring. There's something always changing. And so I am always amazed at the team's responsiveness. You will always see when you log in, like all the updates. It can be sometimes overwhelming to keep up with all the updates, but they will tell you what they are. They're going to offer training. You can go back and watch the webinars. They're going to build it in. And so it makes staying on the forefront of the things that you need to be talking about with your clients very easy. Again, our time is precious. I know you've carved out a lot of time today to be on this webinar. So it tells me you're very serious about this. And I still believe that Holistiplan is probably the most bang for your buck that you can use right now to do this. Scalable and efficient. I'm going to sound like a broken record, but you have to be able to create this efficiency. And again, in order to spend time with the clients, your workflows and the things that you're doing behind the scenes, especially for your teams, if you're going to start leveraging associated advisors, your client service associates, other people within your company, this is a great opportunity for them to step up and lead. It is a very safe place for them to learn, to grow, and it makes it again an opportunity to roll out services for clients that you may have not been able to do in other areas. I know that most of us delve into a couple of different areas where we're looking at estate planning, tax planning, risk management. Still, Holistiplan is going to be one of your best opportunities to bring a variety of tiered services because again within Holistiplan itself you could look at offering different services to different segments of your clients. That too will continue to move your existing clients up the continuum of services. You can also talk about things very differently with your prospects as they're sitting down, and no better way to call it an opportunity or find some new planning opportunities to just ask for a copy of that tax return, upload it. It's a great way to get to know them very quickly. Um, all of this together is just going to continue to enhance your value proposition. When I look at this, it's going to position you as this educator. You're going to be their guide on the journey. It's going to offer you a new way to have a conversation with a client. You can have, we like to call them topical meetings. We used to do these very large meetings where we would just meet with clients once or twice a year. We would save all this information, we'd kind of dump it out on the table. Clients, if you've been like us, you've probably done it too. You get the little glassy eyed look where they're like, what? So now we break this up into topics, and clients love diving into their taxes. If you can offer them opportunities to save some money or to look for some different ways to have a conversation that they've never engaged in, particularly clients or prospects that are shopping around advisors, this is going to be a way for you to set yourself apart. And I will be very honest, I could not do what I do today without an amazing associate advisor. And so I've asked Allison to spend time talking to you today about her journey. If you have not introduced an associate advisor to your practice, I think it's one of the best things you can be considering doing. We have a whole host of young planners out there who are very eager, and her journey with Holistiplan, I think, is something that you can easily replicate. And she leads financial study groups, and she is teaching other younger planners. So, Allison, take it away.
Awesome. So, like many of you others, whenever I first started the industry, I really turned to podcasts, books, articles, anything I could find for guidance and knowledge that I needed to become a lead advisor. I vividly remember a Kitsis and Carl episode. That's one of my favorite podcasts, where Michael Kitsis talked about finding your mini specialization and really becoming a subject matter expert in a specific area. So for me, that area became tax planning. And a lot of that was due to Holistiplan's help and my journey with Holistiplan. So When our firm first set out to expand our knowledge with Holistiplan, we committed to learning everything we could. So we sat in all the W. Taylor mastermind classes, like Jennifer mentioned. We listened to all the Holistiplan webinars. We did all the trainings. And Holistiplan is really just an incredible tool when you first start out, because they have a huge treasure trove of all these different trainings, and it's all really just at your fingertips. And their help sites are so easy if you have requests. So the key for us was to, like Jennifer mentioned, really just master one specific feature at a time, build out our standard process for that feature, and then move on to the next tool. As a next-gen planner transitioning into my associate advisor role, I was really looking for those opportunities where I could speak more in client meetings and find a way that I could contribute to actually show value. And so scenario analysis really became that tool for me. It helped me build my confidence in discussing tax planning, and it really enhanced my communication skills by providing a live tool that I could really talk through with clients in client meetings. Eventually, it took a little bit, but eventually I became one of the internal specialists for Holistiplan with our firm. So my role evolved, like Jennifer mentioned. It involved building out those service calendars for our clients, so that way we could have touch points throughout the entire year. All right. So the next few slides, we're going to get into actual client case studies. So if you're just starting your journey with Holistiplan, the tax scenario analysis tool may be a little bit intimidating, but there's an easy win in the beginning. You can start small by providing meaningful values to your clients. A simple yet impactful way to begin is really just helping clients project their potential tax liability for the year, especially those that are working that may just have some differences in income, like a bonus or stock vesting, different things like that. So for our team specifically, we kick off the year by requesting all December pay stubs and pay stubs for January. This allows us to establish a rough baseline projection for each client's tax situation for the year. You heard Jeff talk about the baseline, so we won't get too much into it, but essentially our definition is an initial estimate based on expected income, deductions, withholdings, really just everything that encompasses a client's tax situation. If a client later receives a bonus or has another taxable event regarding their income, we request that corresponding pay stub, and then we're just able to adjust the models on the fly. All right, so seeing this specific scenario in action, we recently worked with a client who was impacted by firm-wide layoffs. As an executive, he had unvested stock, and a large portion of this stock vested at the beginning of this year. By obtaining all of those pay stubs that showed each of the restricted stock units vesting, the projection showed a significant shortfall in the withholdings on his restricted stock units. That really resulted in a larger estimated tax liability. However, because we started planning for him and creating that baseline at the beginning of this year, he's got all of this year and the beginning of next year, obviously, to start working on saving for that tax bill. So that really just offers peace of mind for the client. All right, the next level, if you will, of scenario analysis. So as with our scenario planning process, we begin by establishing a baseline, like we keep talking about. From there, we can model out various tax strategies like bracket conversions at the start of the year. This gives us an estimate of how much can be converted before reaching the next tax bracket. So to see this in action with one of our clients, we work with a married CPA couple who prioritizes executing Roth conversions while staying below the 24% tax bracket. So filling up that 24% tax bracket, AKA a bracket conversion. At the start of January this year, we met with them to review their 2025 projected baseline. This meeting really served as just an opportunity to address any questions and clarify all the details that we had laid out. In this particular case, the clients do have rental income, so we're able to talk with them about their expected income for the year and then any expenses that they have, really honing in on that baseline for them. For these clients, we actually did implement a barbelled Roth conversion strategy, which is essentially processing a portion of the Roth conversion at the beginning of the year. And then later in the year, once we have the projections a little bit more concrete, we will revisit the scenario tool and complete the remainder of the bracket conversion. All right, and then this is the higher level scenario planning. So these are for our power users of Holistiplan and the scenario tool. So in this case, the clients had received a pension once the company was acquired, the company that they worked for, they received an unexpected lump sum payout. Since they had retired a few years before becoming eligible for Medicare, our challenge was to really carefully manage their distribution strategy paired with their specific request to maintain their Affordable Care Act credits, premium tax credits. So a key feature in Holistiplan's scenario analysis tool really helped us with the planning, and we were able to show the clients this specific scenario. So by expanding the modified adjusted gross income tool, it's at the very bottom of scenario analysis. I believe it's right above the federal tax portion. We can determine what percentage of the federal poverty line the client falls into. This really allows us to make those strategic decisions that optimize the client's healthcare subsidies. All right, enough of the case studies. Back to you, Jen. Oh, you're muted.
Thanks. I was tapping away answering questions. So I'll throw you a curveball here. We're going to get to this because I've been answering a lot of questions on the side. But will you talk just a little bit more about your confidence in speaking into meetings and just how, like, as an associate advisor, using Holistiplan has made that a little bit easier for you?
Yeah. So in the beginning, like I mentioned, I really was nervous in kind of all the different areas to talk about because I had just started out in the industry. And so after that episode of Kitses and Carl, I was really trying to find my one subject area to really start to hone in on and really increase my knowledge. So I knew I could speak to that because, like we've been talking about, we kind of start small and then we build on that. And so taxes actually became that for me. And I was able to really start creating those baseline scenarios for clients with work with Jen. She was checking over my work. We were working on it together. And then I started being able to model out more difficult strategies. And so honestly, that increased my confidence in communicating with clients in the beginning. And then it just trickled over into other areas, but it really started out with tax planning. So
Absolutely. Well,
yeah.
I'm very biased. I think I have one of the best in the industry. She's now on the Next Gen National Board for FPA. So if you have younger advisors, I would encourage you to have them reach out to Allison. I've gotten a couple of questions just about, can you reach out to us? Absolutely. So find us on LinkedIn. The team will probably share our information as well. There are so many people that have helped us in our company, and so we absolutely want to give back. And we know that we're going to stay pretty high level today on a lot of areas. So if you want to go deeper, or if you want to watch the other webinar and really dive into how we created that blueprint for engagement, we are happy to answer those questions and spend time with you. So before I jump into answering some of this, because I saw some consistent questions, one of them is going to be around the CPAs. I also just want to talk about like how we price and how tax planning works into that. So for us, we price around complexity, and we have a fabulous complexity calculator. People way smarter than me in our company created for us, and it's just been this amazing collaboration. So when we are doing financial planning for clients, one of the baseline things that every person that is paying for planning receives is going to be the tax observation report. So that is just a great way. It is mutually beneficial for us and for them to get that report, to look for planning opportunities, which may increase engagement. We try not to force clients into working with us in a certain way. We want to meet them where they're at. Sometimes it takes some opportunities and some time to build that trust. And so sometimes clients start with us, they start small with us, and then they grow in their relationship, or they come to us in that wealth accumulation mode. And so they have a continuum that they can grow. So then when we're talking about the heavier lifting, the tax scenarios, getting into that, we choose to charge a little bit more for that. And that kind of goes up the continuum for complexity. When we are like doing collaboration planning with CPAs, and we certainly have our more complex clients where we are talking to them consistently, then those are going to be a little bit more up our pricing continuum. So the key thing about collaborating with CPAs is like always knowing that we are doing the planning and they do the advice. We are fortunate to work with some fabulous CPAs, but I will still say that the majority of our clients um, have a tax preparer. Let's just put it that way. So we are always giving the compliance caveats. Every report's going to have that on. We will talk to them about it. We will say, please talk to your CPA if we don't have a relationship with them. But with our clients where we have existing relationships, and so just so you guys know, we have clients in about 18 states, so we don't have the luxury of just being in one place and having this community and network of people. But we do have some very strong CPAs that we will put our ideas together. They will look over it. We're starting to find more and more they were relying on us, and that's fine. We enjoy those relationships and it's mutually beneficial for the client. So we're able to kind of think through things and then share reports. One of the things that we did not talk about and outline for you guys in this presentation, but it is in our other, is the tax prep letter. And so that's a really cool feature that you have to, in our opinion, be a little forward thinking on. And you can create a tax prep letter for the CPA and you can create a tax prep letter for the client. CPAs love that. So if you are looking for ways to build that collaboration or introduce yourself, I would consider looking for those types of communications that are going to make their job easier or make them have a little bit of trust with you as just that easy entry. Client data security, Holistiplan, if you go on their website, has a great section on security. Please reach out to the team, but I know sometimes people are concerned about what does their data look like? I know that some advisors choose to redact data. We are not currently doing that. We feel very confident in the systems. It's multi-factor authentication. There's just a myriad of ways that the client data is going to be protected. Roger and his team can certainly answer those security questions for you. And then a lot of things that I'm seeing in the chat are really about like setting boundaries and managing expectations. So wanted to spend a little bit time here. I will say these kind of go like hand in hand. We learn sometimes the hard way, and I don't mind sharing that with you. But first of all, managing expectations, because I have yet to be able to answer this question, but it's talking about like surprises at the end of the year. Our approach is to never push something up to that like very last line. So I know we're going to get into the Roth conversion tool and talking about that, but we always like to give ourselves a buffer. We never want to especially if we're looking at bracket conversions or we might have a surprise. The great thing about Holistiplan is you can see year over year tax returns, and so you can start to see trends. There's always going to be that client that had something happen that we didn't know about. And so we're generally going to give ourselves a pretty nice buffers to make sure that we just don't end up crossing a threshold that we didn't intend to do. So we're not going to try to squeeze the very last dollar out of it. So that's just one way that we set expectations for the client. The other thing that we started to do by like doing the tax observation reports is sometimes you found errors, whether it was missing forms or then as part of our practice to beyond the observation report to go through the tax return and call out those planning opportunities. One of the most common ones that we see is the 1099 distributions, 1099R distributions, and QCDs. And so it is not unusual for us to catch errors, and we make zero promises. Maybe we're a little too good at catching things these days, but we consistently have to remind clients that we are not here to review their tax returns before they submit it, because now we have clients that ask us to do that, and we do not do that for them. I think we've encouraged them to find a new CPA. But there's also some others that just have this very high reliance on us looking at their tax return. So again, just consistent messaging, reminding them of our role versus the CPA's role, very, very important throughout this. And then I think it's just, again, making sure that as we go through scenario planning, I think we do this with all of our aspects of planning, and I'm sure you guys do as well. Life happens, things change. So that's why we don't want to just touch it once and not revisit it before the end of the year. The scenario planning tools make it very easy to relook at it. If the team is going to make an update, the Holistiplan team is going to make an update throughout the year, we're going to see that. Tax law changes coming down the pipeline. We know we're going to have to be ahead of it, paying attention. And um, proactive communication is probably your best friend in all of this. Um, and so when we look at, and I know that we've gotten some questions, Allison, before we move on, just
Yeah,
particularly around like where you can find that ACA breakdown.
yeah.
Yes, it does hide a little bit. So, Allison, can you just touch on that high level?
Of
Um,
course, I actually pulled up a Holistiplan on my end to find that answer for someone. So, essentially, if you go into the scenario analysis tool, and then you scroll towards the very bottom, right above federal withholdings calculator, there's a button that, or there's a section that says MAGI, so modified adjusted gross income. If you just expand that section, and you scroll to the bottom, it's in the Magi Group 6. So it's towards the very bottom, and that'll show you the ACA premium credits. Yep.
Another
And I'll,
question that is just about how are we sending tax reports, tax
yes.
observations, scenario reporting. So we have a secure email system. If a client is really concerned about receiving that via email, there are portals that we have that we upload, but we make sure that we send all of our client communication like that securely so that they feel comfortable with it. And most of the time, we are delivering the reports ahead of time, or we are going to just have a quick meeting about it and we're going to pull the tool up and go over it. Our compliance team is really amazing. They are easy to work with. So I apologize for those of you that don't have an easy compliance team. We're very fortunate. And I feel like we have really made sure our disclosures are the way that we want them on all of our reporting. And once compliance is comfortable with that, then we're allowed to run the report. We save that to the client folders. We have that for references, and then we're allowed to provide that to the client. And there are so many different types of reports that you can provide. So I think it's another great thing once you're building your confidence in the scenario planning. If you talk about that baseline, and then you heard Jeff talk about what ifs, and I feel like we all can speak that language, you know, provide them multiples so that they can take time to look at it. I'm sure you have all had the client experience where they're nodding in agreement in the meeting, but they may not be having that sink in. And I really do find that it is a situation where if they can look at it, they start to understand it, you can educate it. One of my dear friends who we meet pretty monthly is on this call, and he's really been able to position himself with a Holistiplan as this educator and walking your client through their tax return and demystifying their tax process and making sure that they're coming alongside of you as a partner. And so finding those ways where you can use the tool for education, not just making yourself look a lot smarter and adding value, is a wonderful way to create those strong relationships with your clients. I just find that many of our clients are hesitant to admit that they may not know something, no matter what their life experience or age has been. And as Allison was sharing in that case study earlier, the one of the ones that we're doing conversions with, they are two CPAs who are retired and they love seeing the Holistiplan data. So you talk about like engaging CPAs. I just have not had an experience where we end up in a relationship where we're fighting against CPAs. Maybe we're just fortunate. But I feel like anybody that is collaborating with you to make the client's life better, great partners to have, find those and then see if you can refer clients to them and continue to build their network, and you might experience the same as well. So um, we'll answer some more of these questions offer to the side. I know one of them is like, do we charge a base fee for Holistiplan? We don't. We just make it as part of our engagement. We did have an opportunity last year. Allison and I, clients came to us. They are a child of a client, but they are in their early 50s. They're looking to retire. They made it very clear to us that they only wanted to do a one-time limited engagement, we generally don't do that because their parents had been with us for a really long time, a great client of ours. We made an exception. And it was just one of those experiences that throughout the year, Holistiplan was the thing that they gravitated to most. And we brought up some challenges that they might have. Um, we showed them what would happen now in Holistiplan, but through our other software, we're able to project out like all that great saving they did in their pre-tax 401k is going to turn into a challenge for them. And so we like to show the long range tax planning and the short term tax planning and have that communication. So they're actually now paying us a fee. It's a separate standing engagement. We did it specifically for them, but I could see us continuing to roll that out for clients. I think you could easily adapt this to your practice based on how you charge. They are specifically paying us to run tax scenarios for them. So that was our huge Holistiplan tax planning win. And just goes to illustrate that even those very skeptical clients who were like, I know this planning software, they'd worked with another advisor who had retired, used the same exact planning software as we had, did not have Holistiplan. We changed the conversation and then we got an ongoing engagement with them. And just as you look to keep that transfer of wealth in-house, those are some things you need to be considering. So Allison, let's take it home. Let's go hit the last slide.
All right, I'm trying to answer some questions. There we go.
Advanced strategies. So again, once you've started, and some of you I know are well into your Holistiplan journey and you're using scenario modeling incredibly well. If you are someone who loves this tool as much as we do, but you haven't really built out your engagement, that is where I would encourage the heavy Holistiplan users to take it to the next level. You can start to build your client engagement, create seasonal planning, then build the service calendar for them. And Allison, if you'll hit the next slide, that will give them a quick timeline. Again, all of these things are spelled out for you in our previous presentation. So this is just our seasonal service calendar, and it is specific to what we are doing in Holistiplan. So again, your bang for your buck in our world where tech is just overwhelming and we're making smart money decisions on how to spend and how to enhance our businesses. These are all the things that you can do to build client engagement. And I'm sure some of you have other things that we have not considered. So if you see something that we're not doing and you're doing, let us know. We always want to keep learning and improving. But you can see all the different touches and the ways to use the tool. And then if you get to the very end, we're just going to keep reiterating that you've got to start small. Find out what's safe to try. It is progress over perfection. It is very easy to get started today. I don't think I've seen them offer a discount. So if you haven't started your Holistiplan journey, I would snatch that up and certainly talk to the team. And the other thing that we love them about the Holistiplan so much is that the entire team welcomes feedback. They continue to pour into the tool. Time and time again, we've seen too many tech companies start to grow and gain so much traction that they just kind of quit innovating, and this team never does. You heard Roger talking about coding, so we know that there's always going to be more great things to come. So it is an amazing opportunity for anyone to leverage into their practice and provide value and opportunity for their clients. So again, happy to help. Ask us any questions. I know that we'll try to answer as many as the side. I know we're going to try to catch up a little bit on time and maybe take a break. So Laura or Roger, if you'd like to jump in and tell us our next steps, we're happy to turn it over.
Hey, thank you so much. That was awesome. As usual, amazing. So super, super appreciate you guys being here. It's always so informative and you just make it feel so approachable and so doable. And I think that's a real differentiator. So
That's because you guys make it easy. So thanks for all that you guys do.
I mean, there was a lot of tension in those emojis. So you did a really nice job breaking it down and just step by step. So thank you both so much for being here. I know our audience got a ton of value out of it.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. All right, so I have one more statistic for you, and then we're going to take a very quick break. So here's a fun fact for you. We did a poll to some of our advisors, and 76% of our advisors saved a minimum of 1 to 2 hours when reviewing a tax return. Our software can produce the tax report in 60 seconds, which is a 98% reduction in time savings. When you multiply that out by the over 1 million tax returns Holistiplan has processed, Holistiplan has saved advisors a minimum of 132,000 days or 509 years. So food for thought. If you haven't yet started with Holistiplan, now is a really, really incredible opportunity to get started.